Alright, so I have made a simple box, and what I want to do is carve something that fits over the box that's going to look like a hand. That's the intent, at least. I don't know how well this is going to work out. So I got this other piece of dogwood, and I'm going to basically carve it to look like a hand. Here's some of that great cinematography that this channel has become known for. Turn on the camera and then block the view with your hand or your arm or your shoulder or whatever. Well, I am carving out a relief on the back side of this piece of dogwood so that it will fit over the box. And I'm just using my trim router for that with a 1/4 inch updraft router bit. All right, I traced out a rough hand shape, and what I'm going to do is use the bandsaw and hog out most of this. Okay, here comes the hard part. I'm going to start shaping and rounding it off, trying to make it look more like a real hand. First, I'm going to do some rough shaping on my oscillating drum sander. My thumb is too short. I made a mistake on the thumb. I'm really disappointed, but you know what? Actually, that's a pinky. That's a thumb. But it's not that bad, and quite honestly, to tell you the truth, you know, it doesn't have to be perfect. So we are our own worst enemies when we're doing these type of things. I have my Dremel tool, and I have a wand with it. And I'm using a Dumaflachi bit. That is the technical term, Dumaflachi bit. And I'm just going to start just shaping. Okay, it's already looking better. Again, my thumb is looking a little crappy, but oh well, you know what? Get over it. All right, it kind of looks like a hand. Gripping on the box, and the idea is that when you lift it, it'll lift the lid. Now what I think I'm going to do is I'm going to use the vinegar steel wool to darken the box itself, and then I'm going to leave the hand this pinkish color. That was a mess up. I messed up there, so I think this is coming out very nicely. I'm leaving the tool marks. As a matter of fact, I'm not going to sand much more than I already have. I've got some corrections to make. The index finger is kind of square. I want to round that off, and so is the ring finger. There's certain mistakes I made that I cannot correct, like this pinky is awful short, and so is the thumb. But you know what? If people want perfection, then they better not ask me to make a hand replica. Here I'm wood burning the design, and you cannot see it. Big surprise. I have flocked the inside of the box, and it's been since yesterday around 3 o'clock. It is now 10 o'clock in the morning next morning, so this is plenty dry. So the trick is knock out all the loose flock, and then we can take off this tape. There we go. Look how beautiful that is. Now, make sure that this lid still fits. And now it's a little on the tight side now because the flocking took up space, so we're just gonna do one pass on each side. Let's see how that fits now. Beauteous. Look at that. That's beautiful. All right, so now the flocking has been properly removed, cleaned up. What I'm going to do is for the outside of the box, I'm going to use the vinegar steel wool aging agent. And the gloves are not necessary, honestly, because this is just vinegar and steel wool. It's not going to hurt your hands. And this dogwood in the past has made really dark wood when you use this. So I'm just going to brush it on, let it set, and brush on a second coat. Look how it darkens so quickly. Doesn't take any time at all. Now this agent that I'm using is pretty old, so it's starting to not work as well. And then right here, I'm going to do the edges. I guess I could have done this before I flocked, but I was wanting to do the flocking first last night. There we go. And then just do all the sides. So this wood is dogwood, and it was harvested from my yard. I used to love my dogwoods, but the dogwoods in the area where I live started getting a disease, and they all started dying throughout the entire city. So it was very sad to see them go, because they were a really pretty tree. And what's a shame is that this particular tree was not the tree that they were supposed to cut down. We had hired a tree service to come in and cut down a dead and dying dogwood, and they went ahead and cut down the living one. So it would have been dead by now anyway, so it's not that big of a deal. So I'm gonna let that sit for about 15 to 20 minutes, put a second coat on. All right, I have put 2 coats of ebonizer or wood ager on this box, and now what I'm going to do is resand at 320 grit, and it will make it, by doing the wood ebonizer, it raised the grain, and by resanding it will soften the grain, and it will remove a little bit of the wood ebonizer, bringing the original color back in. Once that is done, I'm going to glue the hand onto the lid. My wife painted the fingernails. She did a pretty job, and we will proceed with the gluing of the hand. When I ebonized the lid, I didn't realize that it being as thin as it would warp, which it did. And luckily it warped in a way that I could clamp it when I glued it to the hand. So I'm going to leave the clamps overnight and I'll spray tomorrow. Three coats of polyurethane, and it is done. And here is the completed box, pretty much as I envisioned it. I think it looks pretty good. What do you think? Good. Finally, after every woodworking project, you should always count your fingers. You end with 10. Good job.